Hi friends, so we made it through January, and while I know it is so exciting to look ahead, and a lot of times we're so focused on setting goals for the next month and looking forward and wanting to know what's coming in the future and all of those things, especially when it comes to tarot, what I have found is that for people who are really invested in their healing journey and in their spiritual journey, they also take the time to reflect on where they have come from, what lessons they've learned, what tools they might have been able to pick up and they need to carry with them, and what things they need to leave in the past. And so, especially for my VIP clients, this is something that I oftentimes will work on with them. We'll look at what happened in the previous month before we jump into the next month. And so I wanted to do that for you all. We're going to go ahead and take a look at a few January reflections before we get into our February predictions. As always, I'm setting the intention that this is for my YouTube subscriber collective. So if you haven't already subscribed, make sure you go ahead and do that. So first I want to see, where did this collective experience the most growth in January? Where did this collective experience the most growth in January? Thank you, Spirit. Where did this collective experience the most growth in January? Thank you, Spirit. The Magician. Ooh, okay. So there's growth around what you understand manifestations to be. There's growth maybe around something around your throat chakra seems to also be coming through. Maybe you actually spoke your truth, something that you needed to say, something that you hadn't said, that you really needed to say. I feel like there's also growth in understanding the responsibility that you have in co-collaborating with the universe. Yeah, I see the Seven of Cups. There's a lot of Cups energy here. I see the Seven of Cups here on the bottom of the deck, and it's interesting. I feel like there's been a lot of Cups energy actually coming forward in this collective lately. But with the Magician is the manifester. And I think sometimes you feel like maybe in the past you felt like you were just a victim of your circumstances, and I think that you're actually understanding no, you have power too. And that is a really big thing to experience growth in, especially when there are so many aspects of life right now. Especially I feel like there's so many things where you might really not feel very powerful. There's a lot of circumstances that you just feel like are outside of your control. Being able to recognize what is in your control is really important. I do also see that you experienced growth in not trying to force something. Maybe you were trying to manifest something for a really long time and it wasn't coming through, and I feel like you actually realized maybe there's a reason it's not coming through. With the Five of Cups and the Four of Cups coming out, it's almost like you were wanting something, and the answer of the universe is hey, we know that you want this bigger picture thing. I feel like for a lot of you this is going to be related to a relationship, especially with it being related to Cups. So maybe there is a person, a specific person that you were really trying to manifest, that you really wanted to have come forward, and you've been, but really what you want is the relationship that you want, right? So let's say maybe you have a dream of what a life partnership looks like, but then in the dream, in the fantasy, in the manifestation you've been trying to call forward, you've been slotting in a specific person into it. And I feel like your spirit team has kind of been we want to give you the big dream, but in order to have the big dream, you're putting the wrong character in the movie, essentially, right? This movie is going to be a huge hit, but you can't cast the wrong character. You can't cast the wrong actor in it. That's kind of the energy that I'm getting. And I feel like you finally realize oh, the reason this isn't coming forward, and this is a really big area of growth for you. The reason that this is coming forward is because I was going to cast this character, and that's not going to make this a blockbuster hit. That's not going to get this the end result that I want. I need to cast one of these characters. And so the universe hasn't been giving me the actor that I want, the character I want, because they want to give me the movie that I want. That's kind of the energy that I'm getting for where you experience the most growth. Let me know if that's resonating for you. Next, let's see what you released in January. And if you released it in January, then that means it shouldn't really have to be coming with you into February. So what did you release in January? Thank you, Spirit. What did this collective release in January? What did this collective release in January? I feel like kind of that is related to where you experienced the most growth. But let's just see what else did this collective really successfully release in January. What did this collective release in January? Ooh, When it falls on the floor, it means it even more. Whoa, look at that, the Eight of Cups. I really feel like you truly were willing to walk away, and like you released this fear that spirit wasn't going to guide you with the Hierophant card. You released this fear that spirit wasn't going to guide you towards your highest path. I really feel like you released blocks in your trust with spirit. That's beautiful. And then we have the Eight of Cups, which is like I really feel like you actually really did release a lot of this like emotional discontent that you had in this situation. And yeah, that's really, really beautiful. So really proud of you for that. I didn't even ask the next question, but I feel like we need this here too. The Eight of Crystals just came out. So the Eight of Crystals is maybe still kind of answering about what did you just release? Like you released being a victim to your circumstances. I really feel like that. Like I had said that before, and the Eight of Crystals is a lot of that. Like you're keeping yourself in your own prison, and I feel like you're like, no, I'm empowering myself. I'm going to team up with spirit in a very collaborative way, and I'm going to like be in control of what I can control, and I'm releasing like limiting beliefs. You released a lot of limiting beliefs. So if you're, entering into February, maybe take a second to reflect onto how you entered January, like beliefs that you had and things that you are like, I actually don't really believe that anymore. Take a moment to reflect on that. I feel like that would actually be a really good journal exercise for you. Next, I want to see what's the biggest lesson that you should take from January into February. What's the biggest lesson that this collective should take from January into February? Thank you, Spirit. What's the biggest lesson that this collective should take from January into February? What's the biggest lesson this collective should take from January into February? What's the biggest lesson this collective should take from January into February? Okay, wow. Again, so much Cups energy. Like the emotional energy is just really strong with this collective lately. So, all right, we have the Queen of Cups, and then following the Five of Stars. Following is the Five of Stars. So with the Queen of Cups, it's telling me that you are learning how to take control of your emotional space. And again, I think each question is building off of one from the next. And it's like you felt like you didn't have control of your emotional space. And now you're like, actually, I can be in control of my emotional space. I also feel like you are feeling more comfortable with being alone. And I don't mean that you're going to like be alone forever. It seems like this is very much a difference between like loneliness and being alone. I would say those two things are not necessarily the same. It's like you are, instead of feeling like you're alone, isolated, you don't have anything that you need and things like that, you're actually like, okay, I can use this time for good for me. You have space to hold your own emotions, and you are able to comfort yourself in many ways. It doesn't mean that you don't still want to be with a partner or things like that. That's not that at all. And again, I'm not saying that you won't attract in a partner. If anything, this Queen of Cups is better able to attract in a partner than the person who feels like this. And it just feels like you've really found a way to balance yourself out. Oh my gosh, you guys. Look who's under here. You've balanced yourself out with the Temperance card. I almost wasn't going to pull cards from the bottom, and all of a sudden I was just like, I feel like this card is significant. I think it's because they wanted to make sure I saw the King of Cups under here. I just said, like, it's not saying that you're going to be alone forever. I literally feel like this is how you're going to more attract a partner, and then, like, look at that. This King of Cups is the divine counterpart to the Queen of Cups. And like, it's like the King of Cups is the person you've really been waiting for, the correct actor casting into your life movie. And I just feel like you feel more at peace with that. And that's the biggest thing to continue to take with you into February. And I think if you continue approaching life in that way into February, you're going to just feel so much better. So I really, really love that for you. So that's something to take with you from January into February. So we've already seen some places where you've grown, some things you've released, what we want to take forward into February. Let's see if there's any missed opportunities that you had in January that you need to be aware of, so that then you can make sure that you can take them in the future. So what's an opportunity that might have been missed in January that the collective needs to be more prepared to take in February? What's maybe a missed opportunity, if any missed opportunities in January that the collective needs to be ready to take in February or beyond? What, if any, missed opportunities does this collective have in January that they should be more prepared to take in the future? Any missed opportunities in January that this collective should be more prepared to take in the future? What opportunities did this collective maybe miss in January that they should be more prepared to take in the future? Okay, so the card that came out was the Star card. I do also see the Two of Crystals and the World. Okay, so I do think with the Star card, so this is Aquarius season, or the Aquarius card. And I do feel like there's multiple meanings here, especially with the Two of Crystals and the World. One of the meanings that I'm getting here is about missing the opportunity to do some things with the new moon. And I do feel like this is a reminder that there's so much power, especially as you are learning to be more of a manifester. There is so much power in using the moon. Okay, so it's not too late to like get starting with using the moon and setting intentions and working with the moon's energy. And so that's something to look forward to in the future, and maybe like put the dates of the moon's phases in your calendar so that you don't miss the moon phases, so that you can set intentions with the moon, release with the moon, things like that. So you set intentions with the new moon, you release with the full moon, and I'm here to help you with that too. So I do feel like that's one of the messages, but also with the Star card, it's a lot about, okay, I'm actually getting a third meaning. I'm gonna skip to the third meaning for a second. There's also an opportunity here of like, you didn't speak your truth. You didn't speak your truth on something. There was a missed opportunity for you to speak your truth. And it was like, I think you were trying to decide how to communicate something in such a perfect way that you ended up not communicating it at all. And then you kind of like that opportunity was missed, but I feel like it's going to represent itself. But you kind of held back, because I do see okay, on the bottom of the deck, because I had pulled the World before, so I knew that this Four of Stars was here. But now I'm also seeing the Justice card, and the Justice card is about your truth. Okay, so there was some truth that you chose not to speak. I feel like you kind of lacked a little bit of the courage here. With the Page of Wands coming out, it's kind of like you can take this on, speak your truth, be a little bit braver in how you communicate. And this is maybe something to prioritize a little bit more with the Two of Stars here moving forward, that there's some truth that needs to be said, and not speaking it at all is just kind of like repeating a pattern. The final thing, which was actually the second thing that I had originally been thinking of, is around some opportunities for healing. And the thing is, we're always going to have opportunities for healing. And maybe for many of you, the opportunity for healing is actually around speaking your truth. But I do feel like it's not saying you didn't take any opportunities for healing. You obviously did. We've already seen so many places where you've had a lot of growth. And even with the Star card and like it being like the water bearer, there's a lot of emotional healing. And we've seen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards that were out of 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9 cards that had already come out. Like and then even with the Temperance card and the King of Cups is like bonus on the bottom of the deck. We have had so like the ratio of Cups cards is so high, so much emotional healing is clearly present. So with the Star card, it's like there's going to be additional opportunities for healing, and it's okay if you don't take every single one, but those opportunities will keep coming up, and like when you can, take them. Okay, there's always places for this, and the reminder that like when you release something, you don't have to keep on releasing it, right? Like when you heal something properly, yes, maybe it like think of it if it was like something on your body. If you had let's say like I'm just going to say like a tumor. It doesn't have to be, I'm not saying you have a tumor, just to be really clear. It's just like an easy analogy. Let's say you have a tumor. And so like you have to get it out actually causes more damage in your body, right? Like the surgery is pretty damaging, but then once it's out, there's like more of a recovery that has to happen, but then it's out, right? And so like, and then it's gone, and like, can it theoretically like grow back? Like theoretically, yes, but like in this kind of case, like if it would quote grow back, it's because like a new thing is actually happening, right? So it's like once you've gotten it out, it's out. There's still a scar there. Maybe something still like agitates you sometimes, but like you've done the big work around it, and that is kind of the energy here. It's like maybe you were like, oh, I'm gonna just try to like, you know, put a Band-Aid on it. And it's like, we probably need to do a little bit of a deeper heal. Okay, that's what I'm getting. So there's maybe some like missed opportunity on that. All right. So next, let's see, what are the best ways to love yourself forward? There's clearly so much emotional, loving energy. Look at the Self card on the bottom of the deck. The Queen of Cups have come out before, and I do feel like that's a lot of the energy you're trying to take for yourself into February. But what are some of the ways to best love yourself forward? How should this collective, thank you Spirit, love themselves forward from January into February? What is the best way to love themselves forward from January into February? Thank you, Spirit. You know, I really feel like it is actually, look at the Fool on the bottom of the deck, the Wheel of Fortune, the Queen of Wands coming out. It is really like not thinking that you are going to just need to keep repeating the same lessons over and over and over. When you really allow yourself to be like, actually, I've learned this lesson. The universe isn't going to just keep sending me the same lesson unless I haven't learned it, but I have learned it. So like not everything is a pattern. I broke the patterns. I'm coming out of it. Look at this Queen of Wands. The Queen of Wands is the person, she's actually had to do the most healing. She's aware of the patterns that weren't serving her. She faced those head on. She did go in and like do the surgery, and she is now growing, blossoming, blooming from that. She knows where those wounds are. She's very aware. She's not afraid of them. That's actually giving her even more power with the Queen of Wands. So it's kind of like, not everything has to repeat. Sometimes you can like fully move on to like a whole new wheel with the Wheel of Fortune, and a whole new journey with the Fool on the bottom of the deck, and now the Chariot, the Empress. I love this. You're literally moving yourself forward, the Eight of Wands. You're literally moving yourself forward, loving yourself forward, like embodying a higher version of yourself. You don't have to keep on carrying these old past versions of you as the prominent versions of you. Of course, they live on in some way, but they aren't the like directors of you anymore. Okay? That's not the burden you have to carry anymore with the Ten of Wands. That's the old versions. They can still be listed, I guess, coming back to that movie analogy, since I just used the word director, they can still be listed as cast, crew, whatever, but they're not the executive producers of your life going forward. The version of you that exists now is this Queen of Wands is now, okay? I feel like that's the main thing to think about as you love yourself forward into February and take the lessons from January. So I hope that was really helpful, and let me know how you like this type of reading. And next I will be doing a whole reading just on February predictions, what to expect. So I'll see you there.